Most people spend the most money of their entire lives in their late 40s, not in their 20s when everything is new, not in retirement when the time is finally free. Between 45 and 54, the average American household spends $100,327 a year. That is the peak. It never goes higher. By 65, the same household is spending $61,432. That is a drop of 39%. And almost nobody plans for it because almost everybody assumes retirement costs roughly what life costs now. It does not. And that single misunderstanding is why some people work 5 years longer than they ever needed to. So this is the spending ladder, 5 levels, from the households running on the least to the households running on the most, with real numbers at every step. And there is a reason to measure spending rather than savings, or income, or net worth. Your savings number means nothing on its own. $2 million is enormous if you spend $50,000 a year, and it is frighteningly tight if you spend $180. The pot only has meaning next to the outgoing. The figures come from the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey and the Social Security Administration, all current for 2026. And at the end, we do the thing the retirement videos almost never do. We run it backwards. Not how much you have and what that allows, but what your life costs, and what portfolio that actually demands. Start at the bottom. Level 1. Under $30,000 a year. $2,500 a month for everything. At this level, almost every dollar is already committed before the month begins. Housing takes the largest share it always does, at every level of this ladder, and after that comes food, power, and whatever medicine is not covered. There is no transport budget beyond keeping one old car running, or not having one at all. There is no travel. Restaurant meals are events, not habits. What is worth understanding about level 1 is that it is not usually the result of bad decisions, it is the result of a single income. One person, or one surviving spouse, running a household built for two. When one social security payment stops, the bills mostly do not. Level 2. 30 to 40, $5,000 a year, $2,500 to $3,750 a month. The difference between level 1 and level 2 is not luxury, it is slack. At level 2 the car gets serviced before it breaks rather than after. The heating comes on in October rather than December. There is a small amount left at the end of most months, and that small amount is what stops every unexpected bill becoming a crisis. Level 2 households often still carry some housing cost, a remaining mortgage or rent, and that is worth naming clearly, because housing is the single largest line. At every level of this ladder, the average American household spends $26,266 a year on it, roughly a third of everything. Which means the fastest way to move down a level on this ladder is not spending less on food, or heating, or entertainment. It is a paid-off house. A household with no mortgage at level 3 is spending like a household at level 2, without giving anything up. Nothing about their life is smaller, their number is just lower. That is the first thing this ladder shows that a savings ladder never can. Two households with identical lives can sit 2 levels apart, purely because of what they still owe. Keep that in mind as we climb, because it changes what the top of the ladder means as well. Level 3. 45 to 60, $5,000 a year, $3,750 to $5,400 a month. And this is where most retired America actually lives. The average American household aged 65 and over spends $61,432 a year. That figure sits inside level 3, close to the top of it. So if you are here, you are not behind and you are not ahead. You are the middle. What does level 3 actually look like? Housing that is owned or nearly owned, a car that is reliable and not new, groceries without arithmetic, heating without hesitation, one trip a year planned around family rather than a brochure. And here is where the phases start to matter, because level 3 is not a flat line across retirement. Researchers describe 3 stages: the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. Spending is highest early, when health and appetite are both intact. It falls through the middle. Then it can rise again at the end, when care enters the picture. You can see it in the data. Between 55 and 65, households spend around $10,200 a year on food and around $3,700 on entertainment. By the late 60s and early 70s, food has dropped to roughly $8,500 and entertainment to around $3,100. The travelling, the eating out, the doing it peaks early and then quietly recedes, which means a level 3 household at 66 and a level 3 household at 78 are spending similar totals for completely different reasons. One is living, the other is maintaining. That distinction never shows up in a portfolio number, it only shows up here. Level 4, $65,000 to $90,000 a year, $5,400 to $7,500 a month. This is the level most people picture when they imagine a comfortable retirement, and it is genuinely comfortable. The house is fully owned. There is a newer car, and often a second one. Travel is a plan rather than a hope a real trip more than once a year. But notice what level 4 is not. It is not extravagant. $90,000 a year sounds enormous until you remember the same household was spending $100,300 at 50. Level 4 is not an upgrade on working life. It is slightly less than working life, with the commuting and the mortgage and the retirement contributions removed. Level 5. Above $90,000 a year, $7,500 a month and upward, and there is no ceiling on this one. At level 5, spending has stopped being about needs entirely. This is second homes, extended travel, supporting adult children, private healthcare choices ahead of what is covered. And here is where the ladder does something unexpected. Level 5 is the only level where spending can rise without warning, and not for pleasant reasons. Long-term care does not care what rung you are on. Round-the-clock care can run past $100,000 a year on its own, which turns a level 3 household into a level 5 household overnight, without a single upgrade to anything. So the top of this ladder holds two completely different groups, people who chose to spend that much, and people who had no choice at all. That is the second thing spending shows that savings cannot. A portfolio number tells you what you can afford. It never tells you which of those two groups you are about to join. So now we run it backwards. Every retirement video asks the same question: how big does the portfolio need to be? And almost all of them answer with a multiple of your salary 10 times what you earn, 12 times whatever the number of the week is. But your salary is not what you spend, and what you spend is the only thing the portfolio actually has to cover. So here is the calculation nobody runs. Take each spending level. Subtract what Social Security already covers. Whatever is left is the gap the portfolio has to fill, and at a 4% withdrawal rate, that gap multiplied by 25 is the portfolio you need. The average retired worker collects $2,071 a month in 2026. Call it $24,852 a year. Level 1 at $30,000 a year needs about $129,000. Level 2 at $45,000 needs about $504,000. Level 3, the middle of America, $61,400 needs about $915,000. Level 4 at $90,000 a year needs about $1.6 million. And level 5 at $120,000 needs about $2.4 million. Sit with the level 3 number for a moment. $915,000 to fund the exact middle of American retirement. Not to be wealthy, to be ordinary. But look at level 1 and level 2 again, because that is where the surprise is. A household spending $30,000 a year needs a portfolio of around $129,000. Not $1 million. Not $500,000. 129,000, because Social Security is already doing most of the work at that level. The lower your spending, the more of your retirement Social Security funds on its own, and the smaller the gap your savings have to close. That relationship is not linear. Dropping one level does not shave 10% off the portfolio you need. Near the bottom it can halve it. Which is why the most powerful number on this ladder is not the one at the top. Every other ladder on this channel is about climbing. This one is the exception. On the spending ladder, moving down is the win provided nothing about your life gets smaller. Free things move it, and only free matter. Housing. It is the largest line at every level, roughly a third of everything. Removing a mortgage payment moves most households a full level without touching anything they actually enjoy. There is no other single change on this list that does that. The number of cars. Transportation is the second largest line, around 17% of household spending. 2 cars in a 2-person retired household is often one more than the week requires, and each one costs money every month whether it moves or not, and the phase you are actually in. If you are 66 and planning as though you will spend the same amount at 80, you are almost certainly oversaving for years you will spend quietly at home. The data says that spending falls through the middle of retirement, planning as though it does not has a cost, and the cost is measured in the years you keep working. That is the ladder. 5 levels, and the portfolio each one demands. If you are at level 1 or 2, your gap is smaller than almost anyone tells you, because Social Security is carrying more of it than you think. If you are at level 3, you are the middle of the country, and the number you need is around 900,000. If you are at 4 or 5, the question stopped being whether the money lasts, and became what happens when care arrives. Everybody asks how much they need to have, almost nobody starts from what they actually spend. If you want to work out your own number, the zero-based budget worksheet lays out what actually leaves each month. The link is in the description. And tell me in the comments which level surprised you. Not which one you're on that is nobody else's business, just which figure was not where you expected it.